Good, happy Wednesday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on RK News Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, falling light pole hits woman in Nashua. Officials say woman suffers serious head injury. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Make the most of every property with a great deal on the Kubota commercial landscape lineup. Right now, bring home the Kubota Z700 mower for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months.
MB tractor and equipment, where best meets second to none. MB.
Jen, Jamie, we know that woman suffered from severe trauma from that pole. This all happened just before noon today. Police and fire say a 74-year-old woman was walking in the parking lot here at the Webster Shopping Plaza right off the DW Highway when a light pole came crashing down on her. She was initially brought to a hospital in Nashua with a head injury, but because of her injuries, she was then brought by helicopter to Leahy Hospital in Massachusetts. The deputy fire chief told us that it appears the wind gusts may have played a part in why that light pole fell. The company, Kimco, owns this shopping plaza. We have reached out to them for comment, but we've yet to hear back. And police say an investigation in exactly what happened here is currently underway. We're live in Nashua. Ariel Metropolis, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Crews battle a large brush fire in Manchester. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Hey Greg, Rena here. Want to show me the problem with the chair? Greg, it's gonna...
For this year, it's one of the bigger ones we've had.
More than 11 fire units worked for over 2 hours today in Blackacres, Manchester, putting out a brush fire that burnt around 15 acres, something that caught Manchester Fire off guard.
We got a call in another area of the city for a possible building fire and smoke coming from a building. It actually ended up being the smoke coming from this brush fire.
On top of it being one of the larger brush fires they've seen this year, this fire was tough to put out from start to finish.
The access and lack of water supply, the terrain made it very difficult to put out.
The fire was in danger of spreading quickly due to wind gusts over 40 miles an hour.
Well, the high wind obviously carries the embers downrange a little bit, and it creates hot spots ahead of us. So we try and get everything mopped up, get the perimeter knocked down, and contain everything in the middle.
Manchester, Goffstown, Auburn, Hooksett, even crews from Bow did just that and had the fire 100% contained around 1:45. Battalion Chief Bob Badeau says in his 32 years of work, he's never seen this many people living in the woods.
They're homeless people that are taking up residence in our woods.
Now, the cause of the fire is still under investigation. However, thankfully, nobody, including firefighters, were hurt while trying to put it out. Live here in Manchester, Troy Lynch.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. 3.6 M approved for child care centers in New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Make the most of every property with a great deal on the Kubota commercial landscape lineup. Right now, bring home the Kubota Z700 mower for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months.
MB tractor and equipment, where best meets second to none. MB.
I feel as though COVID has shined a spotlight on childcare finally, and people are realizing how important it is.
Alphabet's Learning Center's 2 Manchester locations are licensed for close to 600 children between both sites. Because of staffing shortages, they can't operate at full capacity.
We have about 40 staff members right now, but if we wanted to be at full capacity, we would need close to 10 new staff members. 10 10 to 15, probably.
They've even had to change their hours because staff are just so burnt out.
They're working overtime. We have, there's some children need to be dropped off at 6:30 and their parents can't get here until 5:30. So to be able to offer that service, you've got to have staff pretty much working all of your operating hours.
But more relief may be on the way. On Wednesday, the Executive Council approved $3.6 million in federal funding to provide one-time grants to centers across the state to help reduce operating costs so childcare providers can invest more into employee retention and recruitment.
People are in the early childhood field because they love working with children. You want to keep that piece happening, and we need to be able to pay teachers considerably more money to be in the field.
And the funding will go through the fiscal committee next week. We're live in Concord. Hannah Cotter, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. 7 face federal charges in a string of Cadillac converter thefts. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
As busy healthcare providers, you see firsthand the toll tobacco use has on your patients every day. QuitWorks.
Well, Jamie, investigators say that those suspects were able to pull up to a vehicle like this one, get it jacked up off the ground, climb underneath, cut away the catalytic converter, and be gone in less than 60 seconds in some of these cases. Here's some surveillance video that was shared with us from prosecutors working on this case. Those 7 suspects, all men from the Springfield, Massachusetts area, are accused of planning and executing thefts on 471 vehicles at the beginning of last year. Investigators estimate the damage combined with other thefts from ATMs in 2 New Hampshire jewelry stores accounted for around $2 million. The suspects also allegedly acted under the cover of night with specialty power tools designed to cut away those car parts which contained valuable metals. They are then accused of targeting passenger and commercial vehicles and selling those stolen parts to scrap shops. Now, this case is being tried in Boston federal court. Those 7 suspects all facing a laundry list of charges tied to this investigation, the most serious of which carry up to 10 years in prison if they're found guilty. Live in Manchester, Ross Ketchke, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man accused of firing at New Hampshire Sheriff deputy set to plead guilty to lesser charges. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Under the terms of the plea bargain, Nicholas Anderson would be sentenced to 10 to 30 years in prison. The state would drop 3 charges, including attempted capital murder and 2 counts of reckless conduct, while Anderson would plead guilty to attempted first-degree assault and domestic violence reckless conduct. The incident began last August 23rd. Officials say that Anderson was upset after being found guilty of speeding and fined in Ossipee District Court. Subsequently, a deputy sheriff says Anderson went to the parking lot, removed his license plates, and took off, the deputy giving chase. It ended on Canaan Road in Tuftonboro. Court paperwork says that's where the deputy noticed Anderson out of his vehicle in a shooting stance and pointing a silver handgun in his direction. Then the deputy heard a loud bang, the deputy taking cover behind his cruiser while Anderson drove to his home in an adjacent driveway. A bullet was later recovered from the cruiser. A standoff followed, during which time Anderson's wife and then 9-month-old child hid in a closet, the wife telling a 911 dispatcher she was too afraid to come out. After several hours, Anderson surrendered and was arrested. Now, Anderson is scheduled to be sentenced on June 7th at 1 p.m. His attorney says they'll present their rationale behind the deal to the court at that time. Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Biden kicks off Ireland trip to make peace deal anniversary. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News.
To the adventurers, the builders, the farmers, the do-it-yourselfers, whether it's your...
A blustery Belfast arrival for President Biden. A journey about roots, both political and personal. Greeted by the United Kingdom's Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. New this morning, the President and Prime Minister spending one-on-one time together. Today is about marking 25 years since the Good Friday Agreement that ended Northern Ireland's decades of civil war and conflict with Great Britain.
Keep the peace. That's the main thing. And it looks like we're going to keep your fingers crossed.
Joined by Joe Kennedy, the special envoy for Northern Ireland, part of the president's message will be that economic development is crucial to maintain stability here. Tensions are heightened after protests in Northern Ireland marred the anniversary.
The word people tend to use when they talk about the peace in Northern Ireland is fragile.
Turning back to the U.S., a new verbal round in the 2024 presidential race, with former President Trump reacting to these comments from President Biden to Al here on Today, that Mr. Biden plans to run for re-election.
Help a brother out. Make some news for me. I plan on running Al, but we're not prepared to announce it yet.
The former president asked if he expects President Biden to stay in the race.
I watch him just like you do. And I think it's almost inappropriate for me to say it. But I deal with other people. I don't see how it's possible. Look, I don't think he can.
Mr. Trump, who was recently indicted on felony charges in Manhattan and faces additional criminal investigations, also says a potential conviction would not deter him from his own campaign.
No, I'd never done. It's not my thing. I wouldn't do it.
Back here in Belfast, the president is speaking at Ulster University, and then it will be on to the Republic of Ireland, where he'll meet officials, but also he'll be going to County Louth and County Mayo, where they will be welcoming a distant relation. And the president and his family will be treated to some genealogical tours, so he'll get a sense of his own family ties, and maybe there'll be some time to raise a pint, too. Savannah?
There'll be a lot of 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th cousins there on its journeys today. What do you want to bet, Kelly? Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the...
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we are going to switch gears now, and let's go into weather. And here's meteorologist Jacqueline Thomas with a weather forecast.
Take your technology vision to market at speed and scale with up to $2 million in funding from America's Seed Fund, powered by the National Science Foundation. Make the impossible possible. Start the pitch process today at seedfund.ns.
Thanks for watching. I'm meteorologist Jacqueline Thomas. It was another mild day out there today. High temperatures well above normal, climbing into the upper 60s in Concord. The average high this time of year in the mid-50s, and that's where low temperatures were this morning, closer to the average high. So even the nighttime temperatures have been on the warm side, and we're going to get even warmer now as we head through the rest of our week here. High pressure in control, keeping things quiet, keeping us dry. Those winds dying down. Of course, we had gusty conditions out there today, but that's not going to be the case through the night tonight. We tap into all of that warmth as we head into tomorrow. Lows overnight, not quite as warm as last night, but still on the mild side. 40s for many spots overnight, near 50 south, and then some upper 30s far north. But tomorrow, high temperatures soar. We get back into the upper 70s and the 80s across the state, and it comes with more sunshine too. So a great day to enjoy the warm conditions. The exception, though, will be the seacoast, and that trend is going to stick around, where we have these really warm conditions inland away from the water, but you head to the coast and you struggle because you see that sea breeze kick in. So as we head through the day tomorrow, here's Portsmouth. Notice, yeah, you get the sunshine, but you also start to see that east and southeast wind kick in as we head towards the afternoon too, and that's going to limit how high temperatures can go. So you'll likely be holding in the 60s or even the 50s at times. times. Otherwise, as we head through the next several days, a look at our next chance for any showers and precipitation, and that really comes as we head towards early next week, potentially Sunday, and then again Monday, as we look at conditions for the Boston Marathon. Of course, still quite a few days out, so things could change, and we still have to keep an eye regarding the specifics of the timing of any rain or potential showers, but for right now, we'll at least see some clouds around, and temperatures do look quite a bit cooler than what we're seeing out there this week. So that is good news for the runners. At least it should be a little bit more comfortable, but it just might be a little bit damp, especially as you cross the finish line. So that's what we'll be keeping an eye on as we head through the coming days. Otherwise, 7-day forecast, warm the next couple of days. We do see cooler conditions, but still mild and above normal as we head through the weekend, with highs next week likely closer to more seasonable conditions back in the 50s.
Okay, and there you go on that weather forecast from meteorologist Jacqueline Thomas. Thank you for that, Jacqueline. And that is it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on RK News Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Good night, goodbye.